Hi, I'm Andy Schmuckler. The question could be asked also, what kind of media should we have to help combat the pernicious effects of the right-wing propaganda machine? And I don't know the answer to that, but I do have some experience with the question that I think is probably still relevant. I mean, part of what I don't know is, well, first of all, what actually works. But secondly, the media environment of from 1992 to 2002, when I was dealing with this issue on the radio, is very different from the environment today. I don't know what difference it makes that there are all these social media and uh, all these algorithms that can work, and I just don't know. But the experience I had was that I had a radio show which I called in a newspaper interview, the Not Rush Limbaugh Show. This is back in the 1990s. And what I wanted to emphasize was that by that I did not mean that I was going to do with a liberal audience the kind of thing that Limbaugh was doing with the conservative audience, which I took as being a pretty pernicious thing, that he was appealing to their prejudices, and he was putting out distortions that were pretty dishonest, and he was in general poisoning people's minds. So my point about it being the opposite of Rush Limbaugh was not that it would be the same thing but on the left rather than the right. It was that it would be honest inquiry rather than dishonest, and that it would be an attempt to build bridges to work together across the divide, whereas what Limbaugh was doing was demonizing those on the other side of the divide. I then encountered it also when I became a full-time blogger on nonesoblind.org was the name of my blog, in an attempt to reach as many people as possible to help the country turn back from the road of fascism that I saw even more clearly than in the 90s. I saw in 2004, I had a sort of transformative experience about seeing something palpably dark and evil on the Republican side, which is different from the way I had been looking at things. I had been all into bridge building, but then I saw that something else was taking over on the right. And so in my blogs, I was talking about the need to take on the lie. And people on the liberal side, which is what my blog would attract, were saying, oh, that's sinking to their level. You want to fight them, that's sinking to their level. And my point was continually, if you fight with the truth, that is not at the same level as fighting with the lie. So that was a distinction I think is important. Not liberal conservative, not right left, but the search for the truth. An attempt to create a constructive conversation that leads to something that's better for everybody. And I said that was not sinking to their level. The truth and the lie are quite different on the light versus dark spectrum, the good versus evil spectrum, as I would actually think it could be shown to be. So I think that the assignment, because I noticed that there are a lot of people in the well, at least I've come across several, talking about the need for the liberal side to create its own media system. And I dare say that that's true, but the problem is that we need to overcome the lie, and we have to overcome the enmity that prevent the American people from achieving their common purposes, divided against each other. So when I think about what kind of media do we need, I think about media that's not just to attract our troops. If we don't build some kind of bridges to the people who are buying all the lies that they get off of Fox News and such, we aren't fighting the fight at the level that it needs to be fought. Because I think that the real fight is between the truth and the lie. And if we don't manage to get the truth into the thinking of the kinds of people who could vote for Trump or might vote for Trump, then we're leaving the problem untouched. Yes, it's good to win elections, and yes, it's good to be able to mobilize your people as effectively as, say, Fox News apparently can. But the real problem has to do with lies that are used to divide people. And I think it is still the case that whatever media that we seek to develop on the side, it should attract an audience that's not just of our people. And it should do battle against the lie with integrity and truthfulness. I don't know how far that gets us towards solving the problem of countering the powerful propaganda. I just read the last couple of days Timothy Snyder talking about some of the very sophisticated techniques that Putin introduced and that the Republicans have been also utilizing that had apparently a big effect that may have led to this outcome. But in any event, whatever the propaganda techniques are on the right, the question is, how can we get to a more shared reality? How can we stop the division? And how can we get power away from the liars that manipulate our fellow countrymen into doing really foolish things like what they've done in the election of 2024? Thanks. Please support what I do if you like what I do. And if you want to see a very substantially developed integrative picture of the forces at work in the human world, including the ones that we deal with here in America, but also globally and going back all the way to our emergence out of the biologically evolved system onto the path of civilization. Please go to my website, abetterhumanstory.org, where you will find a lot. I've been obsessed with some of these questions for a very long time. There's my book back there of 2015, What We're Up Against, a destructive force at work in our world and how we can defeat it. 2015, written before Trump got onto the stage. And that book back there, The Parable of the Tribes, The Problem of Power and Social Evolution, is about how a destructive force inevitably emerged when a creature steps onto the path of civilization by inventing its own way of life. That breakthrough has important ramifications for understanding the nature of the challenge we face. It doesn't go very far to say, well, here's how you design a good media environment to bring America back to better health. But it puts the whole thing into a framework. So I hope you'll go abetterhumanstory.org. Thank you.